Shit, what did I do?
Holy fuck. This is episode 37 of The Great Satan. I am joined today by young Sisyphus, at young_Sisyphus, aka Oracle. Pull this music out a little bit or down or off. I'll just knock it out. But why pull things down, right?
Right. Well, hello. It's nice to be here on The Great Satan.
Hell
It
yeah.
is a privilege.
Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, we had a I wouldn't even say like Twitter interaction. I just saw that you were talking about a thing I wanted to talk about and was like, come on my podcast. Mutual follow for a long time. Long time MUFO, first time podcast guest, as they say, right? Yeah. I guess we'll get into like what specifically we're going to be talking about later, but before we even started, we just like, I mean, you can't not talk about like current events, you know? It's like, it's the end of giving a fuck about news for a lot of people, so culturally, we have to give a fuck about news right now still.
Yeah, gotta keep that momentum up.
Yeah, for sure. You know, before, you know, the long, like, what's going to happen with the brunch is like when you talk politics or anything like about systemic issues in front of like normie people, they're going to just go like I think for like under Trump, it's like they would entertain a lot more of like talking about politics because they're like, I don't like the president either, you know, but they didn't know why they didn't like the president. They were just like, oh, real talk, there's babies in cages, like he did that himself, like that's wild, you know. So I don't know, we were talking about like the Daily Show's gonna suck complete ass.
Oh my god, like every single like comedy news show is just, it's gonna be utter shit for the next 4 years, and all we're gonna see is like liberals posting like Daily Show with Jimmy Kimmel or whatever the fuck, like gifs.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll even be that political, like if libs will even stay politically active at all, except to like hippie punch, you know, like the ones that do hippie punching now, they'll keep doing it, but like the ones that are like the everyday, you know, the 50 follower Twitter accounts that are like, you know, somebody's hammered mom are going to be like just doing nothing. They're just going to be like, all right, back to posting pictures of my cat and bagel like every day, you know.
I feel like as long as we like I said before, the momentum, and I feel like a lot of liberals also like, they don't realize they're not liberals necessarily because they don't have like the language to describe themselves as something else, because they're forced fed this whole like liberal versus conservative dichotomy, and there's no space on the plate.
Yeah, they're going to like embrace the far right ideologies that are espoused by traditional liberalism. You know, that happened under Obama. Like we saw this like, oh, the market can fix healthcare, right? Like, what? You know, that being like the leftist thing you could possibly say in polite discourse for 8 years was really fucked up. And it probably damaged the country a lot more than we think it did. You know, I mean, we see like, what is it, 85% of people on both parties support a, you know, a fully Medicare for all system anyway. So it's just like 4 years of Trump at least kind of like reset that and said, oh, the alternative to hating black people and wishing every Mexican was in a cage, right, is actually just being cool, right? So then they've embraced that, but now they're just going to be like, whatever the president says is the cool thing to do, and I guess we're fine now. Like they're just going to go back to that.
Yeah, that's that really ties into one of my biggest critiques of electoralism. Like, you're right, we do have like mutual interest across party lines in stuff like Medicare for all, but we become like, in America, we get like whipped up around certain like pivotal figures.
Right.
So like, to me, watching the election felt more like scrolling through like a Tumblr tag for some like fandom pairing or whatever.
Yeah, big time.
Except like the stakes weren't getting like canceled on Tumblr because your one true pairing isn't canon, but like it's people's lives.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, I guess you'd call it a newspaper or magazine that I'm an editor on. Shouts out Populist Mechanics, Automotive Free Clinic. Link in description to that. And I might do an ad break for it in the middle of this episode. I don't know yet. But we as an editorial board all openly, expressly communists, right? We are not Democrats at all. Just to demonstrate the power of the like electoral left, right? And I know the Green Party, at least in the back of house, talked about not being so aggressive this time, and it worked. They got almost under 1%, or they got under 1% of the vote. Whatever Socialist Party of the United States of America, even less than the Green Party, just to demonstrate how much bigger a left populist is electorally. We all like sucked it up this time and voted for a Democrat, which sucks, right? It sucks. Like, it sucks a lot. It feels shitty. You're going to feel responsible for all his bullshit. But I don't know. Because I do feel shitty about it, but then like I would feel shitty if Trump was president too, right?
Yeah, it's a no-win situation.
Correct. And at least we did demonstrate that the left is much bigger than what Biden said would elect him, which was, and we found out 3% of Republican voters that voted for Biden, that did not get him the win, he would have lost if it weren't for, expressly left voters that were going to vote to win down ballot races for like congressional people that, support stuff like, really basic, moderate things like Medicare for all.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
they're going to redefine that, and that's kind of like the other thing we were talking about is why the Daily Show is going to suck, SNL is going to suck. Stand up is going to be better, like a lot better. There's going to be people that can't. There's people that have careers where they just say shit Trump has said, and that's like not jokes, right? That's not how jokes work. It's not what comedy is. You can't just sing things that Trump said and be like, haha, right? Well, that's a thing he said, right? Like, that's not how comedy works. So it'll be really fun to see, comedy come back.
I look forward to not seeing like liberals holding signs of Putin and Trump making out.
Oh man, that shit's bad. The like low-key homophobia, very often super racist shit too. Like, oh man, I remember when Ben Carson first got the thing, I saw some takes that were just border, like, typed out minstrelsy type language, like in that like typed out way, and it was like, yikes, man. Maybe don't type massa like that. Like, what are we?
Just put the keyboard down.
Yeah, just stop. Just log off and stop. So like that's going to be luckily gone the next 4 years. We'll get to see those people just keep their racism in their house, right?
They better.
They're just going to shut the fuck up. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's what brunch means. If we're optimistic about it, it's that liberals are going to shut the fuck up.
About time, honestly.
Right.
If their mouths are full of sheet cake, their mouths can't be full of like being transphobic.
Right. Now that's where it is going to get really interesting, or I shouldn't say interesting, but it's like, it's going to be fun to see which of them were professionals and which weren't. So like, those transphobes that have to stay like have to keep like saying bullshit on Twitter, even though there's nothing in the news for them necessarily to comment on, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be it'll be telling, right, to see like which ones were like CIA operatives or whatever, or worked for the Heritage Foundation low key. What was that? There's a transphobe yesterday that was going fucking crazy and like has the word Marxist in her bio, but worked for like Rebel News. Did you see that shit? She looks like
No.
she looks like one of the girls from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like,
Damn.
yeah, she looks exactly like that. And was like, blah blah blah. Just kept misgendering people like a lot on purpose, which is what, that's, I shouldn't say that's whatever, but it's like, it's pretty run of the mill for a thing that they do, right? There's like, they're like, oh, what, putting dudes in dude jails bad? It's like, all right, that's the thing they want to do with their time, I guess, whatever.
That is Twitter can be such an amazing and horrific thing at the same time.
Yeah, I'm constantly like, so I got on it forever ago and then instantly got right off because like I always used dumb phones, like just
Yeah.
And so like my first 300 tweets were done with a T9.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then like I couldn't see who's replying, who's liking, until I was like on a like on a desktop and like looked at it, and then would be like, do I really feel like logging in even, right? So it's like, and then I just quit for years. So like I'm really only back on Twitter since like maybe this time last year.
Yeah.
So it's weird because there's like, apparently there was everybody talks about this mythical time when Twitter was fun. Have you heard about this? You guys read about
sounds
this?
Fake. That sounds very fake.
Yeah, it sounds like suspicious to me because I'm like, I can't imagine this ever being fun. But then I was thinking about like stand-up, and stand-up was fun when Obama was president because it was like, just, you could be goofy as fuck. And but apparently Twitter was like that, but then also there was like 1 in a million Twitter libs that would get bummed out when you did anything about communism. So like, I don't know, it makes sense to me that it would be a little fun, but then I'm also like, wait, that's fun now, like that's still fun to like, trigger Twitter libs is still fun.
Oh yeah, especially if you have the energy for it. You can just like keep asking them why, until they
Right.
block you.
Yeah, I call that the 3-year-old question.
It's a pretty solid strategy.
It really is. It really, really is. They hate introspection, extrospection. They really just hate spection, right? They don't like any kind of spectiveness.
Anti-spection action.
Correct. So yeah, just being asked why a person believes something is violence now.
Oh no.
And they'll block you for it. So that's pretty tight. But no, yeah, I can't wait for comedy to get funny again. I can't wait for the Daily Show to suck again, which I don't think it ever really stopped sucking. It started sucking when Obama became president and then just didn't stop. Honestly, maybe it can get good now because it can focus on, what do you call it? Because honestly, it's like Biden, I don't think of Biden like an Obama presidency. I do in terms of like shutting up liberals, but like in terms of materially, it's exactly like a W presidency, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking is going to be more what we can observe of what he does, which is like a competent war criminal.
I'm glad to have a competent war criminal in the White House again.
For comedy, yeah. Because you can be like, hey, hey, dude, don't do that, which like that's when people say the golden age of the Daily Show was like W's presidency because they got to speak truth to power. So like maybe they can do that again and be like, hey, maybe don't bomb people. And Trump's not around, so people can't be like, what do you want, Trump for more years? It's like,
Oh, they're gonna start pulling that out if Trump tries to run again.
yeah, if he tries to run again, they're going to instantly be like, they're going to recruit Tom Cotton to run as a Democrat, or like I don't really know what they'll do. Like the Dem party, if we let them get away with saying that like right-wing Dems are what won this election for Biden, and they continue to run with that narrative, they will run somebody farther right even than Harris in 2020. So we can't let them have that. But like honestly, you can't stop them from having whatever the fuck they want. They eat sheet cake every day,
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
Couldn't be me. Could not be me. So the reason we had you on was to discuss presidents as ghouls.
Oh,
all of them.
Yeah. All presidents are bastards.
Correct. APAB. And I think that's an idea that everyone should get behind. That the office of the presidency is a systemic problem and we need to abolish it.
Absolutely.
To tie it in with the all cops are bastards abolition phrase, it doesn't mean that Obama wasn't funny sometimes or didn't look cool smoking cigarettes. It didn't.
He had a cool dog too.
So, oh yeah, he had a cool dog. W seemed like a fun guy to have a barbecue with, right? Clinton liked to get his dick sucked. That's pretty cool, right?
Real king shit right there.
Yeah, king shit, right? H.W. Bush is not a person, I don't think. Like, he's like a Pete Buttigieg, but old. So bad. Like, it's just like a CIA guy. So that's not worth talking about. Reagan had dementia, and I like to talk to people that are old because they have fun stories, and some of them have dementia sometimes, and you got to get around it, and it makes you realize your mortality. I think that's what the 80s dichotomy was everybody in their like early 20s through their 30s was doing like blow and driving BMWs, right, and doing Wall Street crimes, and then the president forced them to like observe their mortality, so they didn't just like all, I don't know what they would have done differently if they hadn't had him tying them to their mortality. This constant reminder that you're going to get old and suck someday.
So I do have to interject that there is like possibly one exception to the all presidents are bastards. I mean, just like Chris Dorner is the exception to all cops are bastards.
Correct. The one that was murdered by fascists.
Yeah, rest in power.
Rest in power to Dorner, and I believe you're going to say Abraham.
No, fuck Abraham Lincoln. Boy was racist as fuck.
He was.
Yeah, but Jimmy Carter.
He was murdered by fascists, though.
Yeah, sometimes trash takes itself out.
That's true.
But Jimmy Carter, like, sorry. My mouth is stupid dry.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Carter is like a pretty cool dude. I think he still builds for like Habitat for Humanity. He hasn't been accused of war crimes credibly.
Or
even
sexual abuse.
Or
sexual abuse. He has not done any sex crimes. I think he's the only president in the. He was never president while I was alive, but in the last 40 something years, he's the only one that was not Well, no, Obama. Him and Obama are the only ones not credibly accused of sex crime.
Good. Yeah, true.
Which is wild.
Carter also tried to pursue war crime charges against Israel and even like called out Bush's war crimes.
I did not know that.
A little bit based here.
I
think he was also the one who like had a peanut farm that he sold when he became president.
Yeah, I know that story pretty well. My grandpa was like, the word kind of has negative connotations now, but he was a lobbyist for the like the Federation of Peanut Farmers, specifically in the Southeast. And yeah, like the guy that had that farm was like a guy he knew. And yeah, dude straight up like sold his family farm to be president and follow the letter of the law. Like it's the the Obama's BlackBerry story, but with the entire wealth that your family has created over the entire time they've been in this country. So pretty tight. That is pretty tight to be like, yeah, fuck it,
Yeah.
I want to say one of his kids bought part of it too, and then had to sell his part also, specifically because they didn't want it to appear fucked up. Peanut farm, post presidency. Okay, so
I guess, and not everything isn't 100% terrible.
Yeah, so he also did a bunch of bad stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the country was very, very bad for a lot of people the entire time he was president. Which that's not like that's not special. It's been that way for every presidency. So
I think it's impossible to be a president and not do something shitty.
Yeah,
like the seat of a presidency is corrupt inherently.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm getting at too. So like he didn't, to go to the Dorner analogy, he didn't murder any presidents.
No. Yeah.
He didn't kill any presidents or their families. So if that's the bellwether for a good cop, that should be the bellwether for a great president as well. So Castro, good president. I think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the global Dorner. Like that's it. He's the only one that is like, let's do it right.
The global Dorner. Holy shit. I love that.
Yeah. He's that's the only president that was ever cool. Now Carter, you mentioned that he sought charges for war crimes against was it a prime minister of Israel or was it Israel itself?
It was against Israel itself.
That is actually pretty lit. Then what happened with that? Did you
I'm checking it up right now because
it
was a while when I saw this.
I'll go into his farm.
It was like back in 2015.
His dad died with a ton of money because the New Deal made it so that like family farms existed. A lot of people don't know that about the New Deal. They're like, it made Social Security and we got this out of it and this. It was like, no, it actually was super sweet for domestic farming, and it made a lot of the working class into petite bourgeois that were able to house and feed their families and make a decent living wage. So a lot of them died with money, those people died with money because of debt forgiveness. And then what was the other thing? Division was Jimmy inherited the least of the siblings. Public housing. So he lived in public housing. That's also pretty tight. That's why he's the only U.S. president to have ever lived in subsidized housing before taking office. I would disagree. George Washington, his farm was basically gifted to him by the federal government. It was that
whole land grab.
Yeah, exactly. So, but expressly subsidized housing, in a whatever welfare state kind of way, yes. So that is a notable thing. He was knowledgeable in scientific and technological subjects instead of blah, 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 peanut growing business, blah, blah, blah. He also took classes and read up on agriculture while Rosalind learned accounting to manage the business's books. They barely broke even in their first year, but they grew the business and became quite successful. So anyway, yeah, he got rid of it when he became president. This was a fun part. Civil rights movement was well underway when Carter took office. He and his family had both become staunch Kennedy supporters. Beginning in 1962, the town of Americus was the site of mass beatings and incarcerations of black protesters Echoing similar unrest throughout the country, Carter remained relatively quiet on the issue at first, even as it polarized a lot of the country, to avoid alienating his segregationist colleagues. He did speak up on a few divisive issues, giving speeches against literacy tests and against a change to the Georgia Constitution, which implied a compulsion to practice religion. At the time of President Kennedy's assassination, he was informed by a customer of his peanut business of the killing, which prompted him to remove himself from work and sit alone. Carter later called the assassination the greatest blow that I had ever suffered since my father died.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, it was super fucked up. If you were like, that's a weird one too. Cause like we think of now politics as this like team sport thing, and you can't be bummed out about a death unless you completely agree with somebody.
Yeah.
But like, I've talked to people that were like right wing back then, and they were still bummed out about it. And like, not that Kennedy was super left wing, but he was like, yeah, why would I like not let socialists do shit in their own countries, right? So he was pretty lefty by today's standards, right? Like he was left of Biden for sure. So anyway, yeah, Carter got upset when JFK died. We don't know if that's because he actually thought socialism was cool and good and should happen, or just he was bummed out because a guy got shot, which both are pretty valid and mean that he's human.
McCarthyism is just so ingrained in American society too.
Right.
I genuinely believe we're coming up on like, I think it's a third Red Scare.
Oh yeah.
Especially in like the space between now and inauguration.
For sure. The next 40 days or whatever it's called, like, is going to be super fucked up. And that's what we were talking about with like the pivot of the corporate dim to say, fuck you, we didn't need your vote, commie. Like, and like how that's going to, potentially be weaponized, going forward. But I think there's enough of us, I think that we're vocal enough about it that they can't really ignore that. And when they lose in 2024 by, expressly telling us not to vote for them, then, they will have fucked around and they will have found out, right?
Yeah, they're making their own bed right now.
Right. Like we extended the olive branch and we showed out and we voted for the most far right candidate we've ever voted for in our entire lives, many of us, just to show them that we can make or break them, and they're going to let us break them. So whatever that means.
That's not comforting at all.
It's not, and I'm hoping it's not true, right? That's the, like, I hope that's not true. I hope they go, oh yeah, oops, and when Biden died, or like, Harris like has a nice phone call with her dad and like goes back and reads some Marx and gets, cool somehow, right?
Yeah.
And, expressly apologizes for putting people in jail, and then like meets up with the, the prosecutor for like the same district she was in California and says, all right, time to stop doing bad stuff, right? I don't know what she could do to make amends. What do people in AA do as their like third step? Fourth, what is it? They go apologize, right? They got to make amends for the things they did while they were.
Yeah.
She has to do that, but for neoliberalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be chill if she like went to AA or NA, but Neoliberalism Anonymous, and like fixes it. She's like, oops, I was bad, and then fixes it. And then I would gladly vote for this hypothetical, communist Harris in 2024.
Comrade Harris.
Yeah, Comrade Harris. That goes back to the other thing we were talking about, like the blood of, the blood of the bonds of like material brotherhood are deeper than the, whatever it is, the shallow
The
water.
blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Correct. So like, her dad hasn't talked to her in fucking long time because he's like cool, right? And she's expressly not, right? She's like, no, I got money to make. Fuck you. Um, so like she's not cool with like, I don't think either of her parents, if I'm not mistaken. Like even her mom was like way left of her. But
So, was just being conservative like a rebellious phase for her that she never grew out of?
that's the case with all of them, in my opinion. Now the boomers, materially, it makes sense because they all thought that they were going to stay millionaires, right? They were all millionaires in today's lifestyle. As far as how easy their lives were compared to everybody now, they're the brokest boomer you've ever met is like, oh, you threw away $1 million. Like if you ever meet a boomer that's not like loaded, they meant to do that shit. They like either are really cool and just never, squirreled away money like an asshole, or they're just that bad at money, right? Like those are the options for boomers. So they're right wing because it is in their class interests, or was in their class interests, to be right wing. And that might be the case for Kamala, right? She might have just faked it long enough that she has enough money, and now that she's so far up that material ladder that she has to be like, pro prison slave labor.
Yeah. There's no getting down easily.
Correct. Yeah, you don't get to just be that rich and also be like have decent opinions about anything. Uh,
Yeah. Money absolutely corrupts. I remember a couple of years ago there's actually a study in 2020 dollars would be like, I want to say 75K a year. That is like the income point where a household maximizes happiness.
yeah,
Any more wealth over that is either like a neutral or a negative impact on quality of life.
correct.
So it's good for everyone to redistribute wealth. We just
Yeah,
don't want Elon Musk to be stressed out or Jeff Bezos.
right. In their case, I mean, I can't. So I sometimes try to like empathize with like what it would feel like to be that level, like that slave owner level of wealth. I've been at the like 200, right? And 200 is not better than 75, right?
Yeah.
It's objectively not. There's no difference. I mean, the bills are paid a couple more months in advance, right? That's the difference. 75 is still kind of like a paycheck to paycheck depending on like your level of house debt and whatever. But it's still like you're still working, like you still have to go to work. Nothing changes at 200. Nothing really changes at 325 or 4. Like I've had friends that make 4 and 500,000, not every year for their entire professional careers, but like they have a good fucking year, and all of a sudden they have like 120 in the bank after all the bills are paid. They still have to go to work. That money's spent. Like that money's spoken for, in the next 6 or 8 months. So um I think we can all, like when you said the 75, that brought up that like happiness thing, is like they didn't have anybody in the like, well, forget about like in the 500 plus income range. We're talking about like the difference between wealth and income, right? Is people like Musk and Bezos they could just stop being assholes all the time, right? They could just fuck off to an island for the rest of their lives, and most of the time they do, right? Their job is to tweet and yell at people. They don't do anything productive at all. So their level of misery isn't stress the way that it is for a worker, where we're like precariously perched on this like bureaucratic tier level inside of a workplace environment to make 200 on accident a year. The system wasn't supposed to let us do that, and we just got to once, and then woo, um, your life doesn't change though. You still have to go back to work. You're still a working class person. You still live in a 3-2, right? Or like a 1-1 or whatever it is you have, right? You can't go buy slaves and make more wealth for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Bezos and Musk thing, that's fun to think about in context of happiness. Like, I think they're probably less happy than a person making 500,000 a year, but more happy. I think happiness is a weird scale too. I would say their highs are higher, but they happen so infrequently.
Hmm.
They're probably stoked on nothing. That kind of goes back to like earlier we were talking about the like what level are we like what scale do we talk about presidents on, right? If they're all bastards, right? What do we talk about them in historical context? Like Thomas Jefferson raped slaves, right? That's pretty bad.
But it was also like, that's just what happened in those days. It doesn't mean it's good. It's not excusing it, but
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like he was objectively worse than most people on the planet, but like
Mhm.
was he worse than people that were in his same level of generational wealth and like social stature? Probably similar, right?
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like it's good that Elon Musk has slaves. Like that's not what I'm saying. Um, obviously his slaves should be taken away, um, and he should not have them. I am happy that the coup in Bolivia did not work, right?
Yeah. Elon can go mine for lithium by himself.
That would be so tight. God damn. I would buy a Tesla tomorrow if he was like, if he came out and was like, yeah, well, I wouldn't, but because fuck an electric car in general, but like, I mean, fuck cars in general, but like fucking electric car even more. But like if he was like, yo, I'm giving up all my wealth, right, to just like redistribute it, and I'm gonna like live the rest of my life mining lithium, just like for fun with these people, like just go, even if he just did it like
He's just got a pickaxe.
just him and a pickaxe, and then like the kids still have to dig through it with their little fingers, you know, like if he just went down there and was like, that's what I do forever and never tweeted again, I would have so much more respect for Tesla. I would be like, oh, fuck, that's a cool car now. God damn. Yeah, this is depressing now to think about like other people that are shittier than the president in context of how shitty all the presidents are. It's like they're not, in the day of kings and like lords, like in feudalism, right? The feudal lords were the shittiest people on the planet, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And now the president is kind of in the middle, right? He, just like a cop, has to sit between the ownership class and the working class and like maintain this division. I think the president kind of has to do that too. Like it's a marketing or PR job where it's like they're not necessarily capitalist. I mean, literally themselves, like wealth holding wise, they're not, actually able to not work ever again, etc. Usually when they take office, but they uphold that power and privilege for those that do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like an interesting framework. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm gonna pause for 2 seconds, even though I peed right before we recorded or started recording. I'm gonna have to pause to pee again.
Oh, good. I need to do it by run myself anyway. I'll be right back.
Excellent.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back to episode 37 of The Great Satan. This episode is brought to you by the letters A, F, and C. That stands for the Automotive Free Clinic out of Montgomery, Alabama. Sorry for burping in the middle of reading ad copy. Also, I don't have ad copy. I'm doing this off the dome. Recently launching a fundraising subscription plan where you get basically maintenance insurance it's on a sliding income scale, as low as $20.83. I can't believe I remember that off the dome.
Nice.
2 oil changes a year. Checkups, I think, were monthly or bi-monthly. And then any bulb that goes out, they just go ahead and come up to your house and fix it. So very cool service. I mean, obviously it helps. It's a great cause. So if you make more money than, if you make more money than poverty level, it'll be more than 2083, of course. But that money goes to supplementally help those people that are on the lower income scale. So, and people that aren't paying anything for it. We also have some people, obviously it is a mobile automotive free, like it's, it's a mechanic service that's mobile. They come and fix people's cars. Every brake light that we repair is a guy that's not getting pulled over and shot by cops. So, it's a good thing. I don't have advertisers that I don't think are very cool and good. So they are very cool and good. The Automotive Free Clinic out of Montgomery, Alabama. Check it out. Also read Populist Mechanics. I sometimes write for them when I am able to put my thoughts into, better things than a podcast, right? So, yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I am so heartened that there's because we have mechanic block out here in PDX. I love that these things are going from coast to coast.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful to see.
It's super fun. I could say fucking, or give money to the DSA or whatever the fuck. In Montgomery, Alabama, the DSA is not going to help, right? Our Democrats are as bad as they are because they don't have to be better. Their job is to lose elections, right?
Where are they?
Right? So where are they not? Where is that not the case? But here, it's very obvious that our Democrats are very bad. And if we were to do electoral entryism, we would be doing it in the Republican Party because then we'd win elections when we won. So it'd be really funny to do a Republican Socialist of Alabama thing. I still want to do that. It sounds like a joke, but it's I would use the Wide Awakes logo from Lincoln. That's the original hammer and sickle. It's a sledgehammer and then a thing of wheat. Have you ever seen that? That's where the hammer
no, but I like it.
Comes from. Yeah. Anyway, so I would do that. It'd be this is the kind of Republican I am. It's a hammer and sickle Republican, and just see and then I would run on instead of Medicare for all, I would run on the Second Amendment is it says that guns are your right, so if it's your right, we have to fund it. So
are you saying firearms for all?
Yeah, I'm saying firearms for all, not sliding scale, but if you can't afford guns, if you don't have guns and you want guns, you come to this office to get guns. And it wouldn't be the best guns, you wouldn't be getting a real 1911. You would get a high point piece of shit, but it's a gun.
Yeah, it'll shoot a couple bullets.
Exactly. So, oh yeah, and my other one was I was going to have the cops drive buses.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
Could use for them post-revolution.
I was thinking pre-revolution. That's an entryist idea. I think that could happen now, where they're just where the cops are. You call the cops, they'll be there within 20 minutes because you expand the bus routes by having every cop drive a bus. And then sexual assaults can't happen on buses. Some dude jerks his dick in front of you. You'd be like, hey, cop, fix it. And then the cops have to do what they're supposed, what they say they do, which is stop assaults and violent crimes, They see a lot more crimes than they do now, right? Cops rarely see a crime. So it would be cool as shit for them to be in a bus, just driving the bus and be like, hey, put your dick away. And then pull a gun, and be like, quit it,
They have a little sign that they tap that says don't pull your dick out on the bus.
Yeah. Yeah, the sign says bus driver armed. But then also there's another sign that everyone else has because we have firearms for all. It says everyone else is too. Right? So then if the cop pulled, it's the old, I used to have a joke about the gooder guy with a gun is the bad, with the bad guy with the gun, and you got to have a good guy. The good guy then has to have a bigger gun, and then the bad guy could get a bigger gun than that. And then, right, it just escalates, you know? And then you should never bring a gun to a knife fight unless the knife fight is I don't know, like it's like a knife fight that a gun
With
shoots
guns.
knives. Yeah, if a gun shoots knives, you got a knife gun, right? Like I got a knife gun at the gunfight, right? It'll be good. I don't know.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's fun. See, I'm already getting super stoked for like comedy to come back because I'm like, man, I forget how fun it was to actually be funny and not talk about politics all the goddamn time.
Yeah, it's nice not to be mad all the time.
Man, it's so
Just
fun.
wake up and get mad at an internet rectangle.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. And yeah, I think like Biden being president is the perfect time to run as a leftist Republican because they're going to vilify the the left of the Democratic Party, right? But the Republicans, they don't know anything. They have no way to like rhetorically handle a Republican, like a team member of theirs, right? Who says like, I'm
Mhm.
a Republican, think Black Lives Matter, trans people are valid. You know, like you just go down the list of like everything, you know, like every left policy, and they're like their brain explodes because they just can't. They have no idea what to do to a Republican that's not a sociopath, you know?
Yeah, they just like short circuit.
Yeah. So I think they would just vote for me, is what I think would happen. Um, and also, like, I was looking up like primary victories, like what the Republican congressional primary winners have to actually like pull out in terms of turnout. And it was like, I got more than that with no party support at all as like a write-in for public service commission president in this state. So like, I'm pretty sure I could do it. And that sounds like braggadocio, but it's also like, no, it's 30,000 votes. It's not that many votes. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, that's not that big a deal, you know, when you like fuck around on the internet a little bit. So, um, anyway, fucking, I made a bloomed cold brew last night.
Bloomed?
Yeah, so a bloomed cold brew is where you like brew hot coffee, but instead
Yeah.
of putting it where it like goes down and through a funnel or whatever, you just do that shit in a mason jar and then you siphon that shit out to get just the coffee the next day. And it is like
Oh, okay.
it's the strongest coffee I think I've ever made in my entire life. I'm worried that I'm chewing my jaw. Like I'm that like up.
Take some magnesium, that'll help.
I've heard that. I take a branch chain amino acid thing that's supposed to like pull down caffeine a little bit. Maybe that's got some kind of mineral in it also. Magnesium seems like pretty tight as a if you throw magnesium, what's the one that's like, oh yeah, magnesium's the one that like can light thermite on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
it's good for you. Especially if you take any like psychiatric medications.
I do not. I should probably for some things.
Well, it's also the fact that being sick in an unhealthy world is like normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, I like to it's like what is the fuck? I'm going blank all of a sudden. But like when you work out, you should never use pain meds, right? Because you have to feel the progress or you don't know when you're tearing shit or fucking stuff
Yeah.
up. So like in a world marked by the poison of our brains, right? Like if you can't feel what that's doing to you, then you don't necessarily know that you're fixing it.
Yeah.
So that's not to shame anybody for using medicine, of course. Like it just in my own personal experience, I'm like, maybe that's where I get the idea that I shouldn't be on drugs.
It's also I feel like they're a bit overprescribed.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. My like focus is exercise as drug interaction
Mm-hmm.
in psychiatry. So I kind of would like to have more data about not just overprescription, but like long term, uh, like patient plan of actions.
Yeah.
Uh, and then like group and environmental therapies. Like I'm not like an Adlerian or whatever, but like there are things that my man got right, and you just have to like keep those culturally, or like have like a nice small group of people that are all sharing the same experiences and dealing with each other, and that shit's good, I guess. Like, you know, it's not good
That
for
actually,
everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say that actually reminds me of like how PTSD developed, because of it's all because the invention of the airplane and the use of airplane in warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Back in like World War One days, whatever, they had to take a boat out to wherever the fuck they were fighting in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
They would have that time, you know, coming back to decompress and be around other people who had been in those circumstances. And when they got home, we didn't see, you know, the typical PTSD symptoms we see from, like, say, Vietnam veterans who
Right.
are flown in and out in a matter of couple hours.
Right. Yep.
It's
I
like an
mean,
emotional whiplash.
yeah, yeah. That's also like why they called it a different thing. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Shell shock.
yeah, there's the like, George Carlin bit about the softening of language, and it was like, well, that's not softening of language. Those are different things. Like World War II shell shock or World War One shell shock. It lasted until the end of World War II, but yeah, shell shock and PTSD are not expressly the same thing. And then also, it was suffered by such a large percentage of the public, like of the people that went, that it was it was just like the boom part. Like PTSD is so much deeper than like I hear a loud noise and freak out. Like that's not what PTSD is for everybody. Um, so, but anyway, yeah, they're completely different things that they're experiencing, and I think it does have a big part to do with the in and out times, and how much whiplash there is. The other part of that is there was somebody doing a study about the same concept, but instead of like it doesn't make sense to put people on a boat for 6 hours or 3 days to talk about their problems. But when they get home, to have like group therapy versus not having group therapy, and the suicide rates dropped like 400%. Like it was crazy different. Like it's not the same thing. And that wasn't just therapy like once a week or whatever. It was like you live in this like commune house.
Yeah, in like proto inpatient.
Yeah, so the theory is that PTSD, like military PTSD, right, is not always the exact same thing as like civilian PTSD, and what they're missing is actually like a communal existence. And then when they come back over, many of them are male, and white passing, male passing, whatever you want to, like whatever they are. They come back over here and they're expected to like uphold patriarchal capitalist gender roles, and those usually involve like being the sole bread earner and all this other stuff, with like a partner that they met for 6 months before they were deployed and have kids with now. So like their lifestyle being what it is also like another whiplash, like fuck,
Yeah.
from like broing out with like a ton of workers, right? I use that term loosely, of course, because I don't believe military is working class. Of course, it's a class trader position. And you are a job, though. Like you do a job,
Yeah.
you do labor that you think is valuable. So whatever. So in the brain of the person, they're a working class person. Go from like communal worker to like this alienated form of worker, where the spoils of work go to like this imagined American dream, right?
Yeah.
All the human rights you were told you were going to earn by being in the military, free college, healthcare, all this other stuff, they strip all that from you, and instead give you like a fucking telemarketing job. And then so like they're weirded out that 22 of them a month shoot themselves. Like, duh, shit sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
It's an understandable reaction to that situation, frankly.
yeah, like they've had a taste of the good life. They've had a taste of, I mean, not the good life, like we saw people that lived under, the Soviet Union. There was the smallest gender difference in suicide rates, and mostly because of like expectations and roles, like gender role expectations. Um, but the like, oh well, that's crazy, that's wild. Male suicides increased like 600% in less than 3 years in the
Jesus.
yeah, as soon as the Soviet Union like throws away like even the just basic social safety nets, like they weren't ever communist, of course, they were just basically social, the basic,
Yeah.
literally the least you could do for a group of people. And within a few years, skyrocketing male suicides. And it wasn't that they didn't have apartments or they didn't have money, right? Or they didn't have hope or they didn't have whatever. It was that with capitalism came back patriarchy. And there's the old like Hooks quote that like the first violence patriarchy forces upon a man is unto himself.
Yeah.
Right. It's so fucking true. Not to turn this into like an MRA podcast or anything, but it just sucks so bad. Like when you see people that are like bummed out about being a dude, and you can't just be like, you're a feminist. Like, be expressly feminist. Like, that's feminism. Like, you hate patriarchy too.
Yeah, like, because the patriarchy's hurting you, but I don't know. I feel like men really do get turned off just from the name feminism.
Yeah, for sure. They think of it like forced feminization, which, not gonna lie, would be super tight.
Oh, yeah, Bernie Sanders is coming to steal your penis.
Oh, fuck, I wish. God damn. I wish he'd been around sooner.
He's gonna hoard them all in a cave like a penis dragon.
You're doing an anti-Semitism right now, and I will not.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Are you gonna come out and call him a golem too? No. Yeah, no, if he hoarded all the penises in a big cave and was like, you can have them when you're good.
This is the worst version of The Hobbit ever.
Yeah. Oh, man, that would be great. Actually, that's better. It's just like he just shows up and Smaug's on a pile of dicks. Just holding them, like, on his wings. He's, like, coiled up on them. He, like, flaps his wings. And like all kind of scattered throughout the cave a little bit. And it pushes and it creates like vacuum pressure as he speeds out of the cave to chase down a village or something, and then just dicks fly.
Just falling off him.
Yeah, I think this is the third time on the podcast that we have, me and a guest have riffed on the idea of dicks outside of like human sentience or attachment. So I think now we get a free Subway sub. I don't know how that works.
I feel like there's a joke about like 6 inches versus a foot long in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think that was what I was trying to imply. Good job actually making it more better.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't know if it was better to acknowledge it or not, but I'm glad that you spelled it out.
Oh, I love a good dick joke.
Man, they're the best. They're the best jokes. Farts and dick jokes go together like white and rice, or go together like peanut butter and avocados, right?
Oh, man. So I have a semi-gross story that is tangentially related to dicks. So I got a non-anatomical like stand-to-pee device, and it looks like a pink tube. And I thought I'd, test it out in a men's restroom at a Fred Meyer.
Yes.
And I thought I was going to be completely alone because the store seemed like pretty empty. And this nosy motherfucker like comes in like swaggering. He like looks over the little divider to like see what's going on there. And he just like started levitating for a second just from like sheer concern.
Now let's replay that. But you are either assigned male at birth or post bottom.
Yeah.
Right. So like, let's replay that situation. Same.
He's being nosy.
You're gonna. I call it clothes pass, right? Like you're gonna be the same person walking into that bathroom, no matter what's below here, right? And he's gonna go.
Yeah, he was like, very nosy.
If he did that to me, right? We would be dating now. No, if he did that to me, I would be mortified, right? I'd be like, you're looking at my
Yeah.
dick, what the fuck, man? You know, it would come to blows, and not the good kind of blows like Clinton liked, but the other kind of blows, the other kind of blows, like in the parking lot, you know.
Yeah.
I would give him a poo-poo platter of these hands. Um,
Well, hopefully he is never nosy again after that experience.
oh man, I hope. Did you? So, you know, I know it's cliche to ask, but what did he say when you whooped his ass?
I just left. I wasn't
Yeah,
gonna stick around for that conversation.
I'm sure.
But just like the fear in his eyes, I have never felt more powerful.
Yeah, no, that rocks.
Like, I have shaken this man to his very core.
You said PDF. What state do you live in?
Oh, PDX, I
X.
technically live in Washington, but I'm right on the border of Oregon.
Nice. Okay.
Like, I could go ride my bike to some Voodoo Donuts if I wanted to.
Hell yes. I wish I could. It would be, trying to think, 36 hours in the car. So then every minute in the car is 8 on the bike, right?
Yeah.
So what's
Be a couple days.
Yeah, 36 times 8 is like, whatever, 240 something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 280 hours. So 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long.
Oh, well, if you're gonna bike over here for 10 days, go to Heavenly Donuts instead, because Voodoo is kind of trash.
I've heard that.
Like, they were good before they got on the Food Network, and ever since then, it's just been a downhill slide.
That's not the only restaurant I've heard that about. Going on the Food Network is like
a death sentence.
Yeah, or it's like the back to the, what do you call it? Not sympathy for the devil, but like empathy for Elon Musk, right? Where you're like, what would it do to you as a person if nothing you did, good or bad, mattered, right? You just made money for nothing. You survive at the exact same level you are. Nothing positive or negative ever can happen to you.
You're never challenged as a person.
Never challenged to grow as a person. No environmental, like nothing environmentally changes you. And we all would like to think that we have self-discipline and whatever, but like, I don't think we even have it. Like, I think all of our self-discipline is completely like environmental in nature. Right.
Yeah.
Like we all just, we tell each other, like we tell our friends and coworkers and family and whatever, like our goals, and then we're either upheld to that standard or we're not, right? And we either uphold ourselves to those same standards that we have created for ourselves with our peer group or not, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't have to happen to Elon Musk. He tells his friends and coworkers a thing he wants to do, and they're not going to hold him accountable for anything. Like,
that's a sad way to be.
Yeah, that's kind of back to that, right? Like, so it's back to the like all presidents are bastards, but yet none of them have been as bad as that, right? Like Trump is close, but even Trump is like, he cares about what people think.
Yeah, he wants to be popular.
Which goes back to the whole, like, when libs say he's not a real billionaire, it's like, that's good, dumbass. Like, that's good. That's a good thing. That is good. It is good that he's not a real billionaire. He's experienced like the stress of the working class. Now, was he a worker? No. But did he experience like some kind of fear that he wasn't being loved or cared for by society? Yeah, I think so. Like on some level, a couple times in his life.
Yeah, the attention is like, for lack of a better term, like an opiate. Like you need more and more to get the same like effect as the first time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck. It's a bummer. It's like, I mean, it's not a bummer. It's like, that's the hope I think we have with not with a Biden presidency, but like with like clear-eyed recognition that like this is what's happening. We're not getting any kind of an opiate about this, right?
No, yeah.
So like as bummer as this next 40 days is going to be, where we're like, well, you know, there's an old saying in like, well, not saying, there's a practice in radio where you don't go to a DJ like before his last broadcast and tell him he's going off the air.
Yeah.
Right? You don't go like, hey, you're fired. By the way, be off the air by 1, because he's going to just say wild shit, right? Because
Yeah.
now he's not beholden to the FCC or anything. He's just like, yeah, well, fuck y'all. This is going to be fun. He's just like, just espouse, you know, fully automated case-based communism on the radio or something, right?
Wish. I've always wanted to buy like billboards or like advertising time.
Yeah.
Although the billboards I want to put on like nature scenes just so people aren't being sold something for like 5 seconds of their lives.
That's fun. You can, so for free, this is well, I say free. You didn't hear this from me. I'm not telling people to do this. I think
especially only in Minecraft.
Yeah, in my I don't think it's even legal to do this in Minecraft, but
Roblox?
None of the Roblox have graffiti games. They have like 10,000 games and none of them are for doing graffiti. But here's what you do. Fire extinguisher, right? Mix it 1-to-1 with like house paint and water, or if you use oil paint, you can do like almost 10-to-1 paint thinner to oil paint, and then you pump it up to like 130 psi, and then instead of writing shit, right? Because writing shit's bad. Here's why writing shit's bad. They know your name. You wrote a version of a name, right? That means if you do enough of it, they will catch you. They will find you. If they don't like it enough and you write a name, they will go like, hey, who's writing this name? If they catch you writing one of them, you get charged with all of them. Don't write things. Just shoot from one corner to the other in a straight line and stand on the ground and just do this. Piz like that. You hold the thing down and go, what? And then no more billboard. It's just red. Like
beautiful.
Yes, it's just
in
a
Minecraft.
red rectangle. In no, in real life. Let's go back to that. No, that's why it's good that Biden's president, because comedy is going to get silly again. And I'm being a comedian and I'm being silly, right? This is not actionable advice that I'm telling people to do, right? Yeah, no, I'm being silly. This is a goof, right? I'm goofing around. That's kind of been a running thing with this show too, is like, I don't believe in the Minecraft thing. It's like, look, I'm either going to say a thing or I'm not. Like satire, if you can't figure out I'm doing satire, then I am doing satire. Like, to just pretend I'm doing satire all the time. Like, that should just be the new normal, where it's like the president got away with like all kinds of stuff by just, like, Steve Bannon's not in prison. He did espionage, right?
Yeah, that's like a death penalty, isn't it?
Literally, yeah. That's like one of the only federal death penalties. There's like, isn't there like 6 things you can go to jail? Like, not go to jail. You can go in the like federal death penalty for.
Yeah, there's like sedition, treason.
Yeah.
Aiding and abetting the enemy.
Yeah. And it's so funny though, because like those are such cool things to do.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do some sedition first thing in the morning.
I mean, unironically, this is no satire. This is not irony. No Minecraft. Nothing. Sedition, treason. What was the other one? The one that he did? Espionage. Those are, I would say, in the face of the evil that America is, in the face of the great Satan, are, I would say, the coolest things you could do in the continent of North America. Yeah, I would say. I mean, it depends what country you're doing it for, but there's not many countries worse than America, right? Like, what's worse than America now? Russia.
In the developed world, probably nothing.
You got Russia, the Ukraine, Poland.
Oh yeah, they're having some
far
trouble
right.
there.
They got some far right elements, but even then, it's like they have like a functioning, like kind of a functioning representative republic democracy, right? Mm-hmm. So that means that like, yeah, 30% of the youth are fascists, but that doesn't mean that the country's fascist, right?
Yeah, just the youth of it.
Which is so weird because like our youth is like the most woke it's ever been.
Yeah, they're either really woke or really asleep.
Did you see the statistics that 98% of 18 to 24 showed out for Biden? Sorry, not the ones that showed up to vote at all. 98% voted Biden.
That is, wow, fuck.
I think that's the largest, of that age group being like show up and vote out a fascist, I think, in electoral history.
Yeah, honestly, this whole recent election has been pretty historic, regardless of how you feel about electoralism.
No, and of course, like APAB and electoralism is bad and stupid, right? All of this should go, I guess, again, if you're new to the show, I say all that should go without saying. Sometimes it doesn't go without saying, so I should say it. Electoralism is bad. If you're not armed, you should be. Because if you really want to make a difference, there's like, one American hero ever. Not gonna say his name again because that does border on like maybe don't, like I don't think even if I said satire in that sentence, if I said his name, yeah, I don't think that'd be good. Don't say it. Don't do that.
He who must not be named.
Yeah, he who must not be named again. We already talked about him, and he's the coolest American of all time. But even then, so like, oh man, I kind of don't want to get into like deep, stupid theory stuff, but like, there's this idea that, like cops and people that were in the military are actually like a type of petite bourgeois and like PMC that needs to be radicalized and involved in the revolution, right? Like they have to be part of the academic class because they have this like understanding of the inner workings that a lot of people don't have. And Dorner is like a really cool like Ho Chi Minh thought illustration of this, right? So it's like he's had this deep inner working understanding of how fucked the system is, and it is what radicalized him.
Yeah. Like in his manifesto, he talked about like the police, the officers were singing like Hitler Youth songs to Jewish new recruits.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't read his whole manifesto. I need to sit down and read it because he's, I mean, absolutely, of course, the coolest human being in American history, of course, right?
It's very visceral and very good.
I'm sure. I can't imagine the writing not being good. The way he went out is just so like, it's so heroic and so sad. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually reviewed his manifesto on my last book club video, and like, it doesn't teach you anything new about the systemic violence in police forces, but It gives you like a slice of life as to what it is like to be a non-white cop.
Right. And it's funny. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama. For those of our viewers that don't know where I'm coming from, we are, our city is majority non-white, right? Majority black, actually. But for whatever other places, you would just say majority non-white or whatever. We say black because that's the the origin of the familial history of a lot of Montgomery. So our police force is majority non-white, right? It's not mostly white. And it doesn't matter, black, white, whatever. Every police officer I've ever talked to that was from Montgomery, Huntsville, Birmingham, Mobile, I've talked to a lot of cops from all over. I'm an old person. So they all have horrific stories like that, right? Of something like some example of like a dehumanizing form of like integration racism, right? Where like, this is a barrier you must cross before you're allowed to be equal to us.
Yeah.
And that shit's fucked up.
To put it lightly.
Yeah, it shit's fucked up. And you know, it also kind of sucks because, like, of course, like, ACAB is a systemic critique. All cops are bastards does not mean your Uncle Steve is a bastard. It means that to be a cop, you must dehumanize yourself a certain degree. And every cop I've ever met that's cool or uncool, right? It doesn't matter. They all can recognize ways in which being a police officer have changed them from the person they were before they were a police officer.
Yeah.
So, and just like Dorner, Dorner is one of the best exceptions to the rule, right? Not all cops are bastards, but we are going to continue to say it because it means a thing. It doesn't mean.
Yeah, and Dorner's only not a bastard because he actively turned and went against what the police believed.
Right.
It just further reinforces that.
I feel like that's kind of what I'm getting at is I feel like there are, you know, I don't know how many, but I feel like there are cops that do that, right? That actively, objectively look at what being a cop is doing to them personally and society, and either quit or try to make reforms inside the system. Realize that you can't make reforms inside the system, and then quitting doesn't help either. The only thing you can hope for is write a very poetic and visceral manifesto, and then and then you got to take at Big Bear, and then you write but it needs to be. So that's what I'm trying to say. Being a good cop, I think, is important, right?
Yeah. You know, there's 800,000 cops in the U.S. If even like 1 out of 100 of them were trying not to be shitty, that's still 8,000 cops trying to be less of a bastard.
Right. And I think we should, this is the thing I was thinking about like several months ago, was like a landing zone for those people, right? Like when abolition happens, we have to think about not just work that's special for them, but or work that elevates, you know, them socially or whatever, or those, even the ones that aren't, you know, not bastards, right? The ones that are.
How do we rehabilitate them?
They need material safety. They need working class identity. They need to be integrated with the rest of society. And if they can't be, then you should, well, this bleep button's so bad. I'm going to pause real quick. What does a guy with 2% on his phone battery and a kid walking through the desert for oil companies have in common?
What?
They're both willing to die for a charger.
Holy shit. God damn it. You're right, comedy is getting better.
I love it. I'm so happy that comedy can live again.
We did it. We voted in comedy again.
That is expressly why I did it. I was like, I just want to make dick and fart jokes again. The difference this time will be that our dick and fart jokes will be trans inclusive. Mine were last time, but you know, I'm hoping this time more people's are, which will be good.
Yeah, it's a cultural revolution.
It is. So you're way out on the West Coast. It's probably like what? It's only like 1 o'clock your time.
It's 2:30 for me.
Oh, cool. It's
how's the future?
Here. What?
How's the future?
It's so fucking bright. I gotta wear shades.
Nice.
So this was episode 37 of The Great Satan. I'm throwing links to some of your video essays or whatever we call content these days in the description.
Thanks for your eye holes and your ear holes.
Yes. Yeah, you didn't do camera the whole time, but we all used our imagination holes to.
That is quite a hole.
It's a big hole.
And cut. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. We'll call that one good. Thanks again for being on the show.
It was great to be on it.
Hell yeah. Episode 37's in the goddamn can. This is the Great Satan. Death, and I cannot stress this enough, to America.